This voice snippet's called Bio Mom Copycat. Um, like I said, like there was so much going on in 2021 that if I was not careful, I could say that my head was spinning. But because I was being careful, I was just watching, observing, and taking notes. I'll never forget one afternoon, it was in June 2021. Uh, I hopped on the bus in my neighborhood. The bus comes right outside my house, and I just hopped on the bus, sat down, and you know how it is in Toronto when someone's staring at you, but you don't know exactly. You can feel someone, they say, boring a hole through your head. Like you can see someone looking at you, but you don't know who it is. I felt someone staring at me, and when I looked up from, I think I might have been looking at my cell phone or I had a book or a magazine, I saw a woman looking at me. And although I've spent a good 6 or 7 years around my biological mother, I don't know her too well. But when I saw her on the bus that day, staring at me, even though she had sunglasses on and a mask, I knew it was her. And I think what I found shocking was that I recognized someone who tried to look mysterious as my biological mom on the bus, but she lives in Brampton. And I'm like, well, what would she be doing on a bus in Toronto coming from Brampton? I don't know. And she never dropped her gaze. She kept staring at me. And even though she had a mask, I had to get a better look at her. And the craziest thing, because I've already spoken on doppelgangers in previous voice snippets, she was dressed exactly the way she thinks that I dress. So the way she was dressed is the way I used to dress maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago. So I saw her dressed as me, which was, it was funny because she's shaped differently than I am and she's a little bit shorter than I am. So I said, why is this woman staring at me in a getup that looks like what she thinks I look like? So I saw this woman who I had stopped communication with over a decade ago. Because I haven't spoken to my biological mom in years, especially when she started to disrupt my life. And I'm staring at this woman because I hadn't seen her for a while. And I'm like, wow, this is doppelganger in action. This woman was dressed identical to me. It was comical. It was weird. It was scary. And I realized that with the way she was dressed, she'd probably been watching me or having someone watch me for some time. What I thought was peculiar is that she hates to drive far. She doesn't like to drive past where she lives. So I was just wondering like why she would be all the way in Toronto. Um Now, even though she owned a car and I saw her on the transit, just like the maintenance man that uh, maintains a few of the apartments in this little corner, this little neighborhood, she was checking to see where I was getting off on like what bus stop I was getting off of. And I knew she was watching. So I ended up staying on the bus and I got off at another stop different from where I was going. I wondered what she was doing in this area. And As I'm talking about it like this, I seem paranoid, but please understand. My mother and father had already reported me missing to the police and in the local newspaper back in 2007. I think this way because the control factor when it comes to my family is intense. So that night, I mentioned to my pseudo family that I saw my mother in the streets right here in this neighborhood, and my sister apologized and my stepmother laughed. And they asked me if I was sure that I had seen her. And they ended up celebrating my sister's birthday that night without me. So I realized that there's a very likely chance that my stepmother and my mother probably clicked up and they worked together on whatever is going on. And, I had no way of proving these things, but it's the succession, like how everything was happening back to back to back in the course of a 6 to 10 month period. I'm going to follow up with something else that happened shortly after this specific scenario. Stay tuned because it gets crazier. Thank you.